So when I was growing up, my family dealt with someone being upset like this. Number one, try to talk some reason into them. Number two, tell them to calm down. Number three, shame them for not being able to get a grip. Number four, yell at them. And number five, freeze them out until they storm off. Now, pretty soon I figured out that if you had a problem and you actually wanted to feel better about it, you did not tell anyone about it. You went to your room, you closed the door, and you dealt with it on your own. Now, as an adult, I still tend to get swamped by strong emotions, though very rarely now, luckily. And I know exactly what I need to do. I need to get away from everyone, and I need to go hide until I've calmed down. Because if I talk to anyone, it's just going to make things worse. Now, some of you listening will have had the opposite experience. When you're completely upset and you're flipping out, you have had someone there that you can trust to hold you and care about you and ride out the storm with you. And with any luck, that person also somehow knows exactly to say the right thing to bring you back to yourself. So you want company when you're upset because it makes you feel better. But maybe your guy is like me, and any strong emotion terrifies him. Doesn't matter whether it's yours or his, because he knows that strong emotions lead to fights. And so he leaves you well alone when you're upset, and he deals with his own emotions in the privacy of his own space. Now, to you, it feels like he's being a jerk because he's not emotionally supporting you. He's not even giving you the chance to emotionally support him. So how are you even supposed to make this work? Hi, I'm Amy Waterman, a dating and relationship expert with yourbrilliance.com. And in this video, I want to introduce you to a technique that can help both of you feel more supported in your relationship. It's called emotion coaching. Not all of us learn how to deal with our emotions. It's one of those things that we were supposed to have learned growing up when all of our brain circuitry was getting wired, but some of us just didn't get the memo. If you had parents who disapproved of your emotions, so basically they shamed you whenever you expressed feelings that they didn't agree with, then you end up internalizing that disapproval. And this is really common for boys because the code of masculinity says that boys aren't supposed to have emotions. So what happens is that you end up hating yourself for having these feelings that you don't think you should be having. So not only are you actually feeling upset, but you're disgusted with yourself for being upset, which just makes the whole thing so much worse. And you don't know how to discharge that negative energy because you never learned. So what a lot of people end up doing is they convert that distress to anger and they yell at someone. Now for guys, anger is one of the few emotions they're actually allowed to have. And you can imagine how that plays out in relationships. It all ends up being this huge mess. Every time your guy has a feeling that he can't deal with, then he ends up taking it out on you. So does this sound like your relationship? If so, give me a thumbs up. Now, the best way to deal with this sort of thing is always counseling because therapists are professionally trained for this, but your guy might be one of those who refuses to talk about it and completely refuses to get any help. So one thing you can try yourself is emotion coaching. Emotion coaching is a process used by parents to help kids deal with big emotions. And I'll link to some information about it below. Now, as a parent myself, I love emotion coaching and I use it all the time. What you're trying to do is you're trying to see the emotional roots of problematic behavior. So your guy acts like a jerk and you look past that behavior to ask yourself what else might be going on with him because he doesn't normally behave like that. So you listen to the emotion behind those words and actions, and you talk to that emotion. So you try to hold space for all of those feelings that he's got inside of him instead of giving into your immediate instinct, which is to jump all over him for being totally out of line. You look for anything he says that you can agree with. Yeah, that sucks. I'd be feeling that way too. Gosh, that's so annoying. It must be driving you crazy. What you're doing is you're empathizing with him and you're validating him. You are showing him that you are on his side 100%, even though on the inside you may be wondering why he's overreacting and feeling a bit angry that he's trying to take this out on you. Another thing you're doing is you're reflecting back the emotions he's experiencing, and you're actually putting words to those feelings. Like, gosh, you must feel so frustrated. That must have felt like such a betrayal. And also, of course, you're showing him that you care. You're saying stuff like, I'm sorry this happened to you. I really wished I could make it better. Now, I want to pause here and remind you that you use this process on a guy who normally treats you really, really well, and he very rarely loses his temper. So you know that something's up when he gets mad and irritable out of nowhere. When you help him give voice to what he's feeling, and you don't run away when he's caught up in feelings he can't control, what he's learning is that lesson that he didn't get as a kid, which is that all of his emotions are okay. You're not going to shame him, and you've got his back. Yes, bad feelings suck, but you can get through them without hurting the person you love. Now, if you're resonating with this, then I encourage you to stick around and watch my next video on how childhood emotional neglect affects men. And you also might want to look into attachment theory, which explains why these guys often act so distant. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss a single video. See you next time.